what we're talking about when we're talking about the idea of rapture, resurrection, all of that has been looked at for many years in many different points of view. So you have different perspectives. But really what they're all talking about is the same thing, and it's called multidimensionality. The difficulty we have with understanding multidimensionality as human beings is when we factor in death, as in the physical body, and when we factor it into our matrix as if it's a reality. Well, that takes us to a place of trying to understand whether the world we live in is producing something into our matrix of our mind, whether it is a false reality or an actual reality. And these things are grounded in something called truth. And truth is something that is like life. It has an opposite. And the opposite of truth is the absence of truth. And we call that a lie. And the opposite of life is the opposite of life. And we call that a lie. What did I just say? I said we call that a lie. Was that a slip? No. It's because there are no opposites there. That's part of the illusion. That's what we're missing. If it has substance, it's there. But if it doesn't have any substance, it's part of the illusion. So an opposite on one end of the scale is an illusion. On the other end of the scale, it's reality. It's really that simple, but it's not that simple in the midst of all of this other stuff that is in the matrix of the mind that has to be sorted out and sorted through. So one way of understanding the illusion is not very difficult if you consider the quantum science and what quantum science has taught us about the physical world. And that is that at some point, we just don't know. At some point, we just don't know. There's something happening in that double slit experiment that says every time you look at it, it acts one way, and when you don't look at it, it acts another. And if you study that very closely, what it's saying is, if you're observing it, it's limited. In other words, when you observe it as something that is reality, you are observing it because that's what you want to see. When you're not observing it, the reality changes. That's a little difficult too. But it is part of the process of learning multidimensionality, and it may take a little bit before your brain is able to really comprehend these things, even though you already do. Because you are more, in reality, truth than what you realize. In reality, in the fullness of the scope of who you are at the core of your being, you are truth. You are life. And you have a destiny. And it's up to you to chart that course of your destiny. And it's up to you to move towards your destiny. What is that destiny? Many people want to know, what is that destiny? Well, it's yours. I can't tell you. That's yours. I'm working on mine. I could tell you some about mine. I might even be able to tell you some about yours. And other people's too. Some of us can do that. Many of us can do that. But we don't know anything you don't know about your own destiny. We might see some things about your own destiny that you don't see yet. We might see things about other people's destinies that they don't never see. How is that? Because we are multidimensional creatures. We are spirit beings in physical bodies. And the spirit beings that live inside the body have the ability to move outside of the body in time and space. And they have the ability to be in multiple places at the same time. That's how big we really are. But it's not easy to get through the matrix and tear that stuff out in order to fully understand the reality and the truth that we are. Now, did you just hear what I said? I said you are real and you are truth. The illusion tells you something different. The illusion tells you you're going to die. The illusion tells you all kinds of things, if that's what you're looking at, and that's what you're accepting into your matrix. But when you recognize who you are, you can realize that you are not necessarily stuck in that place of what we call a time-space continuum, which is a level or a level of ascension. And you can reach these places in the awakened state, and you don't have to wait to die and go to the next heaven and the next earth. But as you renew the mind and remove the illusions, it becomes pretty clear that we're constantly doing this. So much so to the point that many of us recognize when we're busting through these areas and we say, hey, I'm fixing to die. Or I just died. Or I die daily. Because we begin to realize that's what we're doing. We're dying to the illusion and living and becoming alive to the truth of who we are by climbing a ladder of ascension as a spirit being in a physical body. You are heaven and earth as a being. And everywhere heaven goes, earth goes. And everywhere earth goes, heaven goes. You are a spirit being, a ghost, a spirit that's not bound by time and space. And your ghost takes your body with you everywhere you go. Same way it does if you want to go down to the store. The ghost goes with you. The body goes with you. So heaven and earth are moving together to the store. The spirit and the body. The spirit's the heaven. The body's the earth. What's going to stop you from getting to the store that you've decided you're going to go to? There could be many obstacles that stop you from getting to the store. And that's what the deconstruction of the matrix is all about. Weeding out the garden. That is what some people are experiencing. And some are experiencing an elevation of like they're reaching new levels. They are. It's because in one realm of their minds there was a death. And in another realm of their minds there was a resurrection. Transformation includes something that we call death, which is not a finality. It's a process. It's a process of nature, and you can see it in nature with the shedding of a skin. When the body of a species dies, it sheds its skin, but it didn't die. Only the skin died. So there's an aspect of an outer layer of the physical body of certain species that can be related to this principle of transformation. Another way you can look at it that's a little happier than that is the transformation of the caterpillar to the butterfly. The caterpillar is one creature that crawls around on plants and the ground. It's very grounded, you might say, and there's nothing wrong with a caterpillar But at some point in the caterpillar's life, it begins to spin a cocoon because it's feeling something within itself that it's more, that it's greater than just a caterpillar. Not that caterpillars aren't great, because they are. And if you didn't have caterpillars, you wouldn't have what? Butterflies. So at some point, the caterpillar begins to see himself as more than what he really is. And he begins to explore that within his being, or her being, or their being, or take your pick. And as it realizes this is happening, it goes through a natural process. Nature does it all the time. It just does the same thing that it's supposed to do. Not what everybody else is doing, just naturally what it's supposed to do. And it spins itself inside of its own casket. And it lays its former life down because it's excited to move into this other life that it has already been able to detect, and it's already been able to determine is its destiny. And one day it busts out of its shell, and here comes the destiny it saw, and it flies into the sky. And it's a new creature. And it don't look the same as it did. And it has superpowers. This is an example of what is happening when people think of ideologies like the rapture or the resurrection. Now, we worked on one last night that does a similar as illustration, but it's going a little deeper into this. And so I'm still working on that one. It's probably going to be 2 more parts or something. But this one right here should help. Thanks for listening.